Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Wednesday, May 2nd. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 2 weeks, we have seen some precipitation across the Great Basin, but it's largely been well below normal, with the exception of parts of the higher terrain of Utah and up into eastern Idaho and Wyoming, where we've had near normal precipitation. Looking at the new snowfall over the last 72 hours, the only new snowfall has been over the central Idaho mountains, back into eastern Idaho and Wyoming, parts of northern Utah, and we had some snowfall a couple days ago over parts of the central Sierra. Other areas only receive very light amounts. We still have a fairly decent snowpack up over central Idaho and Wyoming, but the snowpack has been decreasing over the last several weeks over the rest of the Great Basin. The satellite loop from this morning shows a trough of low pressure over southern Nevada, which will continue to move eastward. This has been generating showers this morning over southern Nevada into the Arizona Strip and the southern half of Utah. We also saw some lightning activity yesterday in these areas associated with this region of low pressure, and also some lightning further north in the basin. This area of low pressure also has been bringing plenty of cloud cover and cooler temperatures. However, as this area of low pressure tracks eastward, this ridge off the west coast will build into the Great Basin, bringing warmer and drier conditions with above normal temperatures as we move later this week and through the weekend. Looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see that trough moving eastward to the eastern half of the Great Basin with continued showers over much of Utah into the Arizona Strip and southern Nevada continuing through this afternoon, along with occasional lightning activity. Also, we will see fairly poor dispersion as this trough moves through the eastern areas, but breezy northerly winds across much of southwest Idaho into Nevada will bring better dispersion. Looking at the transport winds, you can see these gusty north winds over central and really northern and eastern Nevada with gusts around 25 or 30 miles per hour at times, along with these similar winds over parts of southern Idaho. Further east, winds across Utah will be a little bit lighter, still on the breezy side over southern areas of the Great Basin. Mixing heights will be high over western areas and lower as that trough moves through Utah today. As we move into tomorrow, we have that ridge of high pressure now building into much of the Great Basin, bringing those warmer and drier conditions, and temperatures will start building above normal on Thursday. We also will see poor dispersion over the Sierra into northwest Nevada and western Idaho underneath that ridge of high pressure and very light winds. We'll continue some northerly winds as that trough exits in between the low and the high over the eastern half of the Great Basin on Thursday. And you can see those winds a little bit breezier over parts of Utah and the Arizona Strip with north to northwest winds, but only gusts around 20 or 25 miles per hour. Further west, as that ridge builds in, much lighter wind flow over the western half of the Great Basin. Mixing heights remain relatively high region-wide due to the time of year and warming temperatures. As we move into Friday, another system moves over the top of the ridge, mainly targeting Idaho, so we could see some additional showers, maybe even some potential thunderstorms across Idaho on Friday, but really much of the rest of the Great Basin will remain warm and dry with above normal temperatures. Also, dispersion will be poor across much of Nevada and Utah under that ridge on Friday, but will be a little bit better over northern areas as that system tracks eastward. And you can see in the transport winds, just a little breezy over the central Idaho mountains, but much of the Great Basin seeing very light winds. Also, mixing heights will be highest over northern and eastern areas, but still in the moderate range across much of Nevada. Looking at the forecast clearing index for Utah for the next few days, and you can see generally high clearing indices today and even on Thursday as that area of low pressure moves through. However, we will start to see the clearing indices decrease as the ridge builds in on Friday. Looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation, which is really the precipitation occurring today and into tonight, mainly over Utah, the Arizona Strip, and southern Nevada, seeing fairly good amounts of precipitation, some areas above a half or 3/4 of an inch of new precipitation. As we move into this weekend, we still have a ridge mainly dominating much of Nevada and Utah and the Arizona Strip, keeping those temperatures 5 to 10 degrees or even more above normal. We have an area of low pressure off the northwest coast, and this will bring some breezy southwest winds on Saturday to parts of the Sierra into western Nevada, and maybe even some potential isolated thunderstorms over northwest Nevada as well, but much of that moisture will be further north, mainly targeting the northwest into Idaho. Dispersion will be generally good over much of the Great Basin, a little bit more on the poor side under that ridge of high pressure across Utah, southern Nevada, and the Arizona Strip. As we move into Sunday, that low pressure system moves into the northwest, so still some showers across Idaho into Wyoming on Sunday, but otherwise warm and dry conditions with relatively good dispersion over the rest of the region. On Monday, southwest to westerly winds as another area of low pressure moves in off the west coast. This will still keep warm and dry conditions over much of the Great Basin with good dispersion. As we move into Tuesday, this area of low pressure starts to swing north into Oregon and Washington. Therefore, we could see another round of maybe some isolated showers or even thunderstorms over mainly western Idaho into possibly northeast Nevada, and some breezy westerly winds over western Nevada, again keeping the dispersion good across the Great Basin. Looking at the forecast amount of precipitation, which takes us from Saturday morning through Monday morning. And again, any precipitation will be targeted over northern areas with dry conditions over the southern half of the Great Basin. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, which takes us into the second week of May, we're looking at above normal temperatures and below normal precipitation for much of the region, with the exception of parts of Idaho, which may see near to slightly above normal precipitation. That concludes our briefing for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.